everybody, Amy with Garden Up. Today what I want to show you is how to plant a border using annuals. So basically when you're doing a border you want a nice thick row of several different things. Normally you'd put something really short like alyssum right in front of something kind of tall-ish like lobelia, and then something taller behind it like geraniums, zinnias, or snapdragons. These are just some leftovers that we had after our clients, so I'm just going to use them to demonstrate. I don't have any alyssum this year, but I do have some leftover lobelia. This is a creeping lobelia, so it'll look super cool going over the curb right there. So you would check the tag and see what the spacing is on each plant. But there is no tag in this case. Normally I just use the tag to space them because they're about the right length. But these are usually about 4 to 5 inch spacing, so I'm going to use my hori-hori. Here's 5 inches. And I'm going to do a zigzag. So I'm going to make a mark where my first one's going to go. And then I'm going to make another mark 5 inches away. Then I'm going to make another mark 5 inches away and 5 inches away. So I have a perfect 3-sided triangle. Now if I do the same thing over here, I have another triangle. And once more right here. And after a while you can start to do the triangle without actually measuring it because you can see exactly where it's going. And I'm still spot on with my measurements. So then, hello! Then I take my plants. These ones got a little dry, so they're a little heat. And I would just plant them as normal. Pull the roots apart just really gently. Make a hole. Put them in. These ones I'm going to direct them the way I want them to grow. It's also getting quite warm today, so I will water them in really, really well. I watered them before I planted them, so they're nice and wet. Now I want depth-wise, as almost always, I want the top of this root ball to be level or just below the top of the soil line. Just like so. Inches by inches. So there we go, and in this fashion you can plant a whole border in just a few minutes. So that's the first layer of the border. I would do alyssum in the same way, and what I would do is it would be lined up in the same triangles so that it's a perfect line this way, and this way, and it's a perfect geometric pattern. Now what I'm going to do with these, I have snaps and zinnias that were left over. These ones grow 12 inches apart, grows 18 to 22 inches. So these will get almost 2 feet high. And these ones grow 10 to 12. So I'm going to put these next. But you'll see it's in the same lines as where they were before, with the same line as the lobelia. These are slightly bigger ponies, so I need to dig slightly bigger holes. I think I'm going to jog it over a little bit just because of the daylily that's right here. This says to plant these 12 inches apart, but honestly, why? They are this wide. There's no reason for that. They are only annuals. They don't usually reseed. and I'm not planning for long-term health, I'm planning for short-term aesthetics. So I only plant these a few inches apart. Okay, again, 5 inches this way will be perfectly in line with these two plants here. That. And now for my snaps. These I do plant a few inches apart because these get quite big, they reseed. Sometimes they come back if we're lucky. I'm really excited about that. It says 12 inches apart. So in this case, my hori-hori is 6 inches there and 6 inches there. The entire tool is 12 inches long. So I'm going to plant one snap here. We always plant in threes. We'll put another one. I'll actually do something a little wonky. I'm gonna plant in fours. I'm gonna do a row of 3. There. This is so root bound, so I'm just kind of tearing into it. Get those roots out of there so it doesn't stay in that ball. And then I'm going to use my hori-hori again to find 12 inches this way. But that's how you plant a border with annuals, using the correct spacing and the techniques that I use to line things up. Of course, the last thing we do is water them in. So you want to make sure each one gets a good drink. How I do this is I actually visualize how far down this water would be percolating through the soil. This is super dry soil, so I'm going to give it a good drink. And just imagine how deep the water's going as I'm watering it. And on that note, don't forget to like the video if you learned something. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss future videos. And then leave a comment if you have a question or anything else you'd like to see in future videos. Here's another note on watering. I thought I had soaked this right through, but if you actually stick a tool down into the ground and pull it back, that is dry as a bone, not even an inch down. So we're gonna have to soak that real well so it gets to the roots of the plant and really feeds them. One thing is when soil gets really dry, which I haven't watered this side very much, when soil gets super dry, it tends to get hydrophobic, which means it'll repel water instead of absorbing it, and it takes quite a bit of water for it to rehydrate and be able to absorb correctly again. So we're going to pretty much drown this so that the water gets right down into the roots. Here's another one that I just planted, and you'll see that water's, pooling on the top. I'm literally drowning this area. So I'm going to move this hose back over here on my other new plants. We're going to let it sit for a while on that, and we'll let this soak in and we'll see how far down it gets, just out of curiosity. Yeah, it's dry as a bone, just a little bit below the surface. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so most of the water has percolated down. You guys saw there were puddles here a minute ago. So let's see how far down it went. Still not even an inch. Now it's still quite soupy up on this top layer, but So that'll go down a little bit more, but that's still not enough water to actually get to the roots of my plants. So like over here, yeah, the roots on this snapdragon are still going to be thirsty. So I need to turn that on some more. So that's one of the funny things about living in our unusual climate of the inland Northwest. We've had a really wet spring this year in 2020. So I haven't watered much. I've broadcast watered my lawn maybe a dozen times. It's the end of June right now when I'm filming this. And it was thoroughly moist a week ago. But the sun came out and now it's 80 to 90 degrees all of a sudden, and now everything is super dry. So we're gonna have to water. The best time to water is early in the morning, like between 2 and 6 a.m. so that the water has time to percolate down into the soil and get to the roots of the plants before the sun comes and dries it up. Some people choose to water in the evenings. The problems with watering in the evenings are that the sun doesn't always have time to burn off the water before nightfall, and that is a perfect environment to grow mildew, like what I have on my lupin over here, which this isn't caused by late watering, that's just because it's a lupin. But then some people choose to water during the day, which on a hot day is about the worst thing you can do because most of the water just evaporates before it even hits the ground. So that's just a huge waste of water and not really worth the resource. But if that's when you gotta water, that's when you gotta water. So just expect a higher water bill on that one. So let's go check and see how these are doing. Okay, I've got a pool of water by the daylily. See, it looks like it's percolating down, so that's good. Let's see if it's actually... Not really. It's still quite dry under there. But if I move the hose and check over here, what's it like? There we go. So that took a few minutes of being watered, and it's still dry way down in there, but it did eventually get down in to where it'll actually feed the roots of my plants. Okay, so the annuals are planted, they're watered, and on that note, I will sign off for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the garden.